because I always wanted to run from my story. And I did, because after high school, I became an actress. I was one of the craftiest chameleons there was. I spent years hiding behind characters. I could play, do, and be almost anything. But the most tragic part was I couldn't accept the role of myself. And it was my story that kept me separated within. My story scared me and intrigued me at the same time because there were so many unknowns. And when I had the courage to explore the unknown, it often felt like I was falling into this abyss, walking out into a tree limb and not knowing where I'm going to land. To go there was so frightening. And it took many years of psychotherapy to allow myself to begin to wonder, begin to search for answers to questions that lingered in my mind. Because I had no answers. And when you have no answers, you're very good at creating them. So my first question, what happened to your birth family? And I would answer sometimes, they just died in a fire. And then other times, oh, I know, it was that birthmark that I was born with, that brown one. They saw that because I learned in school that you're born with your birthmarks. That's what did it. That was it. That's why they didn't want me. My next question, so how come you couldn't stay with your foster family? I mean, you lived with them for 6.5 years. That's right. I remember. Remember that day you wrote your name on your bedroom floor with crayons and your mommy made you scrub it off because you were bad? Oh yeah, that was it. And my third question, so what happened to your brother? Remember you met him when you were 6 at Burger King and you had passports made, and then you never saw each other again? Well, I think we were supposed to live with each other or something and go to Argentina, but that never worked out. So technically, he's not really your brother, even though you really look alike. And lastly, so Jeanette, why are you crying all the time? Oh, and I was really good at this answer. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. And I would stuff it deep down inside myself. So, what were my feelings? And what was I telling myself to feel? You have no real family. You're not good enough. You're the problem. It's your fault. It's not important to know who your brother is. And have no feelings, because feeling sorry for yourself is weak. I was grieving. And I know that now. It wasn't easy to live with inside my own head. I had terrible self-esteem. I would ask my adopted mother after I was adopted, so, really clear, so when are you going to give me away? I didn't believe I was adopted. Until I started to learn how to tell myself a different story. And it would have saved me so much grief if I could have been told this from the adults in my life. At that time, your first mother could not care for you or your brother because she had a health condition. She had trouble remembering things. She was even unable to care for herself, let alone 2 children. And your first father, he did not feel he could care for 2 children. So he wanted you to have a family and a mother to care for you. This was a very difficult decision for both of them. And it was not your fault that your foster family could not remain your everyday family. They did not feel competent enough to take care of you because they were an older couple. And writing your name on that floor was not your fault. You were trying to mark your territory because you knew you were leaving and you wanted them to remember you. your brother, he is an important part of your life. You can know him. You can search for him. You can have a relationship with him. And you can grow up together as adults now. And lastly, I'm so sorry. You feel so sorry for yourself. You've got a lot to feel sorry for. And that was the truth. And as you can see, it still is the truth. And I'm a big girl now. The feelings and memories do not go away. And the stories children tell themselves remain alive. And as one foster youth said it, in the Chronicle for Social Change, there is no expiration date on my foster care experience. That's a shout out to Kenyon Lee Whitman. And if we receive the right words, we can gain new meaning and begin to have real, legitimate purpose and retell ourselves that it wasn't about us. It was about the circumstances in our birth family's lives at that time that led us on one hell of a roller coaster ride of self-discovery, transformation, and resiliency. And once we begin to make sense of our stories, we can become more present and catch up with ourselves. And it was when I was a young adult in therapy that I could catch up. And what I realized also was that I was walking around with this enormous crumpled up piece of paper inside of me. This was the image I had of myself. And I told my therapist, and I'd never said this to anyone, that I felt like a piece of garbage. And this part of me desperately needed my attention. And I realized I was lucky enough to have that epiphany and to receive mental health therapy. As some foster kids never do. They may look okay on the outside, but they're really not okay on the inside. And they carry with them this pain their whole lives, and they do not get the opportunity to make meaning. And I was a strong, determined kid who wanted nothing more than to be happy. So with all of my strength and all of my might, I took a risk. I reached down deep inside of myself. I ripped out that ball of crumpled paper. I smoothed it out, and I wrote, "I love you, and I'm not giving up on you." And my trash was instantly turned to gold. And I truly began to start healing. And healing is infinity. So I'm wearing my infinity necklace. We never get over things, and we're constantly going through things.